Hi, I'm Jay, and this is the Honeywell Whole House Humidifier. On a regular basis, we get questions about why is my humidifier leaking? There are lots of possibilities. So if you have water that is trickling down the inside of this pipe, that's normal. That's supposed to happen, but it should only happen when the humidifier is supposed to be running. So that would be the furnace blower is on and the humidistat is set high enough to force the humidifier to run. Both of those things happening at the same time, you will have water trickling down this drain. If you have water pouring down the drain, that's another story. There should not be a huge amount of water. This will be a trickle for normal operation. A huge amount of water, that is a problem with the orifice, which is located right here. Periodically, these orifices will wear out and enlarge to the point where they'll feed too much water in. If that happens, well then you're going to need to replace the orifice or the solenoid valve. If you have a situation where there is water dripping from the solenoid valve itself, the body of the solenoid valve, the valve has failed, you need a new solenoid valve. If you have water dripping from this connection right here, which is the water inlet tube, right in here, you can try tightening it up. If that fails, you'll want to cut this fitting back, unscrew the brass fitting here, cut the tube back about an inch or so, put a new ferrule on it, put it all back together, and reconnect it. If you have water dripping out of the humidifier body itself, the cabinet, okay? Let's say it's pouring out of here or something. There's lots of possibilities. The first thing I would look at is the volume of water that's being fed to the top, okay? So at the top here, you have this feed tube that comes from the solenoid valve. It should be trickling water up into this. If something goes haywire with, let's just say, the orifice, and it's feeding too much water, it could potentially just flood this area, overflow this water distribution tray, and cause water to just pour out here. And then, of course, it would miss the drain at the bottom and run into the cabinet, and then it'd leak out all over the floor. So if you don't have that, if you look at this and there's just water trickling in here and everything is going fine, you could potentially have a crack in this frame. So if the frame were cracked over in here, for instance, then water would leak out here. That's a problem, and you replace the frame. Another thing that's kind of common is the drain being plugged. If this drain hose were to go somewhere and have a kink in it, like we have a very short piece of drain hose here that goes into this 3/4 inch pipe, but if we had a very long piece of this and it ran behind the furnace and got a kink in it and then plugged up so the water level just rose up here and overflowed, well then you're gonna have to deal with your drain line. One of the other items that happens is there's a drain spud here. Sometimes this will get cracked if someone tightens the hose clamp too tight. That's another issue. The pad is another problem. If you have not changed your pad every year, and let's just say you forgot, and 6 years later you come in here and take a look at it, this pad could potentially be a piece of concrete. And if it were, then yes, you could have water pouring all over the place out of this pad and sometimes into the ductwork. So that's another potential issue that we've seen in the past. If there's water dripping out of this hose, it's a rubbery hose. Sometimes over time, the chemicals in the water plus the heat of the furnace will make this brittle and it will crack or split, get a pinhole in it, and start pouring water into the humidifier cabinet. Then you need to replace this hose. Thanks for watching. For additional help or questions, feel free to contact us.